It's not just about eating right, okay? Because when we actually promote eating right, nobody can benefit, because if we do the best practice, you have to make your own garden. You have to plant your own garden. And then you don't even need to eat all the time. Eating 1 or 2 meals a day, you can already survive. And with that, who can benefit? There's no marketing entity who can benefit from that.
You've tasted empanaditas and buns, but have you ever tasted papas con chorizo, curried chicken, pulled pork, double cheese, and tuna basil? Only Jinki's Kitchen offers these flavors. Catch a bite now of Jinki's Kitchen empanaditas and buns at Kmart, Monsterepic at Singkang and Talisay City, San Carlos, Silay City, Lopez East Center, and Lopez San Sebastian. Jinki's Kitchen empanaditas and buns, a pocket full of goodness. Nature's Perfect Lunchbox. For perfect eggs, fresh and clean, guaranteed all the time. For orders, text or call 0907-838-7958.
Josephine Grace Rojo is with us. She is simply known as Doc Grace, and she is here to talk about nutrition and other things. Interesting things like you don't need an umbrella. Why? She is our new health correspondent. Doc Grace, welcome to DNX.
Thank you, sir. It is an opportunity to be here with you all.
And thank you for writing. It was interesting.
Thank you so much. I thought it was just a usual article from what I do on a day-to-day basis, and it somewhat surprised me that it came out as a surprise for others.
Of course, they know more if they read DNX, especially columns from you. First of all, let's talk about nutrition amid the pandemic. Ang nutrition, or simply sustansya kung sa hiligay noon, is very important sa subong panahon. Tell us why.
Okay. I think I will tell you about the importance of nutrition in a way that I came to appreciate it only after maybe around 3-4 years after I became a doctor. As a doctor, we all know that nutrition is important, but sad to say, our training, the standard medical training right now, is actually not emphasizing on nutrition, but emphasizing on medicine. If we can look at our curriculum, 95% of the time we are studying about what medications to give on a certain illness and how to diagnose a certain illness and how to manage it. When it comes to management, what you will have, medications, and medications. Yes, there is this small part that will tell you lifestyle change, lifestyle modification. But as to how to go about it directly, you can see yourself. You can imagine yourself. If you've had previous consultations before, you can recall what kind of specific dietary or nutrition was really emphasized on you. If I may guess, it's just the basic: avoid fats, avoid salt, do exercise. Okay? And I'm sure you follow that. I'm so sure you follow that. Even if you will say that sometimes there will be days that you eat lechon, you eat some junk, but generally you are following that. And where did that mindset led you? You can see your health declining over time. And I'm not just talking to you as you, but I am talking to you in behalf of all the patients I used to manage that way. I used to manage just with medications, and when they ask me, how about my food, doc? Those patients whom I now recall as people actually who have foresight, who have wisdom, that they ask what food to eat. And with my training, I just said, you can eat anything you want. Anyway, there's medicine. You don't need to think about it. Only when I realized, based on personal experiences and family history, we have a very, very strong family history of diabetes. All of my uncles and my father died before 60 years old because of diabetes complications. And only then I came to really dig deeper and realize that nutrition can really make or break us. With proper food intake, whatever diseases that we have can actually be healed naturally. We have underestimated the effect of good food. And we also have underestimated the wrong effect of bad food.
Oh.
So with that,
That's very interesting.
Yes.
That's very interesting because we have some beliefs. Number one, fat is bad.
yeah,
Okay, now this might come as a shocker for our audience right now. You're saying fat is not bad.
yes,
And why that concept of a low-fat diet, which was actually something we copied from the West,
yes,
from America to be
Yes.
exact. Now, this concept of yours about nutrition is very deep. Because first, normally we talk about nutrition only in the process of curing a disease. And as you have pointed out, the approach of medicine is more of being curative than preventive. Oh, though interesting, because I find this to be, well, I've realized some things upon reading your column. Number one, nutrition is not something you change only in the process of curing a disease. For example, na-diagnose ko nga may diabetes. Para nga ma-untat ko ang bulong, ma-diet ko anay. But no, what you're trying to say is nutrition or a change in nutrition, in nourishment, is something that should be practiced. It should be cultural. And
yes,
you mentioned about our forebears, the hunting-gathering societies. Sa una, wala pa 7-Eleven, wala McDo, wala Jollibee. We used to hunt and gather food. Ano ang labot sinin sa nutrisyon, Tasubong?
Okay, so I think I will go back first with the pandemic as what you pointed
Yes,
out
please,
way
doctor.
before, because nutrition is actually the basic foundation of human health. And this pandemic, I think the article that I was about to write to you is my other concept about this pandemic. But I chose to focus on the nutrition side. But in my other point of view, when it comes to this pandemic is actually just a highlighter. So I can compare it to the highlighter, meaning it only highlights the problem that we already have.
Something was wrong in the first
Something
place.
was wrong in the first place. Because who are dying in this pandemic? It's actually not the healthy. It's the diabetics, those that are obese, those that are hypertensive, those that have
Hindi
ongoing
lang ko
inflammation.
pag-i-include daan ay, Doc, ay.
No.
Diabetic,
Diabetics who are not conscious about their health, and then who are just relying solely on medications without effort onto really making a drastic change in their life. Okay? This pandemic highlighted those who are at risk. That's why we've seen very young ones who are not diagnosed as diabetics, not diagnosed with anything, very athletic, but suddenly died. And what's the common among them all? Their high intake of sugar, processed foods, and all of these toxic oils. If you can break down the worst things that we have now in this time, it's the sugar. And when we say sugar, it's not just the white sugar, it's also the brown sugar, it's also the honey, it's also the fructose, it's also the muscovado. It's just like dirty sugar because it still has a lot of fibers and unprocessed part of it. But generally, it's all the sugar. And then it's the seed oils. So when we say seed oils, the oils that are made in the factory. So what are these seed oils? Canola oil. What else? Canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, rice bran oil, corn oil. If you can think of them, rice, corn, sunflower, rapeseed, all of these are very, very dry, hard seed.
And
how come you can extract oil from that? So it has to be processed directly.
But these are being promoted as healthy oils.
Promoted as healthy oils simply because they do not solidify on cold environment. And they say that everything that solidify in cold environment will be the one to get stuck in your bloodstream, causing heart attack. But that is not true. And it's so sad that we have been brainwashed with that idea that even a very, very healthy oil, which is common here in the Philippines, like coconut oil, is now being marketed in like not on a plain sight. They're being hidden. Have you ever seen a coconut oil being packaged in a transparent bottle?
Wala.
Wala. It's only a yellow but opaque
But pardon me,
packaging.
only until nagsugod ang pandemic because it's now being packaged in clear plastic bottles. Pero hindi sa merkado, sa butika.
Oh, because they now know.
Oh.
It's because of the advent of the popularity of virgin coconut oil. And the ones in the butika, it's virgin coconut oil. But how about the cooking oil in the grocery? It's still
No, wala
not
nang
clear
kita.
because people will not buy it. They will not buy it because they are afraid. But cholesterol, saturated fats are naturally found in our human body.
Oh, interestingly, let's talk about oils. Diba, sang mayambal sa una, common nga istorya. Nga ang lulo kag lula, tapuriko man lang gani ginagamit to, it was actually animal fat.
Yes.
Di nga
Lard.
Nga wala man sila na ano.
Yes.
May
basically.
gakaon pang tawso na tultog. Tultog is basically coconut milk and asin.
Wow.
Diba? But, well, I don't know. Wala man bisang empirical studies about that, you know?
Yes. There is no empirical study in the Philippines. And I know that what I say may come out as surprising for majority of people, especially that we know that the people who will be watching are the ones that are being fed with the standard popular knowledge. But these things I say, it's not new. It's actually a very long history of evidence and scientific evidence. It's just that there's no money in it. There's no money. It's not just about eating right, okay? Because when we actually promote eating right, nobody can benefit because if we do the best practice, you have to make your own garden. You have to plant your own garden. And then you don't even need to eat all the time. Eating 1 or 2 meals a day, you can already survive. And with that, who can benefit? There's no marketing entity who can benefit from that. So
Doc
that's
Grace,
why.
we are venturing into very, very risky territory now.
Okay.
Because what you're trying to say is everything is driven by the market. In fact, now I have this impression nga the so-called nutrition movement is actually also driven by marketing because they have their alternative products that they sell, no? Example, ang brief discussion the other day was may problema ta with grains. Whatever it is, basta grains, we have a problem with that. But the so-called alternative nutrition movement also have their own grains nga gina-promote. But let's talk about that later. I find this very, very surprising because are you trying to lead us to that argument na everything is actually manufactured because it's all about profit?
Yes, it may sound that way, but actually not. It actually started with just a study before wherein we can say that the intention was really good. It's just that before, scientific evidence is not yet that controlled. And when they do research, they don't need to disclose their fundings.
Can you go back to that
Yes,
study that you were
so
saying?
just a little background.
Sige.
We started low-fat diet or the idea that fat is bad in 1977. So that is the USDA dietary guidelines published wherein they are now limiting the impact or the intake of fats, especially coming from animal fats, because they say that based on this study, they've seen that countries who eat a lot of fats have a lot of heart attack. It is what they call as the 7-country study by Ansel Keys. So that's a doctor. And then they see that, say, for example, America, who have the highest intake of fats, has the highest intake also of, highest record also of heart attack. And then, for example, Okinawa in Japan have the lowest intake of fats and they have the lowest number of heart attacks and all that. So, it's very easily digestible, diba? You can think the fats that you eat will be the one that's going to be in your system, and everybody believed it. It's just that later on,
But it sounds believable.
It sounds very believable because we thought our body works that simple. Okay, but later on they found out that the real study is actually not just about 7 studies. It's actually about multiple countries, maybe more than 20 countries, and the result it's all over the place. There's no linear correlation between fat intake and heart attack. It's just that Dr. Ansel Keys cherry-picked the countries that will go together with his hypothesis.
Which means it's not really scientifically
it's
sound.
not scientifically based. And the worst of it all, because that doctor has charisma, has connections, and didn't disclose that the main funding where he is getting it from is from the Sugar Association. It's the American Sugar Association. It's the main...
Because we're talking about the sugar industry.
No, and we're not against sugar. Because we are correcting the mindset. That's what I always say. We all know that cigarette is bad, but everybody's selling it, and everybody's still buying it. The smokers still buy, despite knowing that it's bad for them. So we are actually
bad for you, huh?
So that's why but nobody says anything about sugar. So what we try to promote is just for people to have an informed consent, an informed decision. That's the moment they eat these desserts, the moment they put in these sugar in their coffee, it's going to be a conscious decision. And knowing that that sugar is not essential for your body. And with that knowledge, I just feel like I don't wanna have patients in the long run, because I've had it in the last 7 years of my practice, last 5 years of my practice, wherein patients come to me saying with terminal cancer and tell me, Doc, I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong. I was not eating pork. I was not eating these. I was not eating all of these foods. I just eat vegetables all day, and then I don't take fried foods. I don't do any of that. Even soft drinks and even desserts they avoid. But when I asked, what do you eat your vegetables with? Of course, rice. And it's mountain full of rice. So whenever we say sugar, we don't mean just sweets, but it's also the sugar that's being converted inside our body.
Sugars converted from carbohydrates.
From complex carbohydrates. So sugar, to be technical about it, it is a combination of two simple sugars, glucose and fructose. Okay, so having those two will have a chemical element of sucrose, and that is our table sugar. And rice is made of starch plus some fiber. The moment we digest them, we ingest them, and in fact, the digestion process starts within our mouth. We have an enzyme called amylase, and we have lingual amylase, the ones in our saliva. We also have pancreatic amylase, the ones in our stomach. So with having those, the moment it touches the amylase touches the starch, it becomes glucose. And that glucose easily can spike up your blood glucose. And that is what we want to emphasize, so that whenever you take that 1 cup of rice, the equivalent of that coming to your system when it comes to glucose component is actually equivalent to 10 teaspoons of white sugar. So it's up to you. Try to think how easy it is to consume a 1 cup of rice as compared to 10 teaspoons of sugar in one sitting.
I remember some people saying, grabe ang akon nga panyaga, subong niya healthy niya, laswa pa rin, pero 3 ka rice.
Yeah.
But it means nothing even if you ate 1 bowl of laswa if you did it with 3 cups of rice, because you actually ate more sugar than vegetables if you come to think of it.
Yeah.
Now, this is very interesting because, again, we are in Negros Island and sugar industry based na to. But I have read a lot of studies that sugar actually is something that is addictive. It's being compared to cocaine. In fact, worse than cocaine, they say.
Yeah.
For example, I remember ang choco, originally, isang ginakonsume sang Mayans and Aztecs, they don't put sugar.
Yeah.
In fact, they put salt into chocolate, no?
Yes.
But then as civilization progressed, ang natabo, nag-abot ang kalamay. Is sugar the principal culprit?
Sugar is the principal culprit. And yes, what you said that it is addicting is really true because it also has like an evolutionary basis. We are naturally inclined to love sweet taste. We are naturally inclined to prefer sweet taste over other taste. In fact, it is one of the most natural preference of humans. A baby who will be given something sweet will really like it as compared to something bitter, something sour. Those are learned taste. But sweet, it's something that we preferentially by nature love to eat. And why is that?
Wait, Doc. Doc, kasadyas ni. Bitter, sour, salty are learned taste.
Learned taste.
So meaning we came out into this world looking for something.
Salty is actually somewhat part of natural, but not too strong.
So pagkabata ta, we look for something sweet.
Yes.
Romantic yung tao. Sweet ang ginapangitan. Please go ahead.
Yes. So as much as we are against sugar, some people might get lost that right now we are saying that we have this natural preference to love sugar, right? But that's also the most important concept that we have to acknowledge, that we have this natural inclination to be addictive to sugar. But by nature, we are not supposed to be frequently consuming sugar. Why? By nature, when we say nature, evolution, the last 2.5 million years of existence of humans, when do you think we get to eat something sweet?
Let's say you start sa hunting-gathering
Sure.
societies kung may fruit in season.
My fruit in season. So that's a very, very good answer. And that's
correct ko.
Yes, correct. Because fruits in season just occurs naturally once a year. Once a year. And it's not even the fruits that we have in front of our house. It's not even the fruits that we can buy. It's the fruits that are available wherever we might come across with. We are nomadic by nature. We go places, and it's only by luck or by whatever that you can come across a fruit-bearing tree who are actually bearing fruits in that season while you are there. So you see, our access to fruits and all of these sweets only occur very, very dismal when it comes to chances in a span of 1 year.
May pilosopo naman galing. Si nomadic man ko, nagalagaw ko sa downtown. Damo-damo man ko nalabyan nga fruit.
Is that natural?
Well, of course, hindi.
So that's why, whenever we say fruits in season, it's natural, organic, not even planted by humans. Not even planted, no sprays, no pesticides, no whatsoever.
Kaysa
It's a
lasagna
fruit in
mo.
the wild. And if you can see, the ones in downtown, apple, oranges, grapes, those are even not in season where they come from. But how come we are consuming it here as if it's naturally here?
Commercial production.
It's commercial. It's already part of the business. And before, for the longest time, it might be the answer to the long problem of where to get the food. Because for the longest time, our survival is only concerned about getting food. So that's why we survive. It's just that our progress, how we evolved, became so advanced that we were able to recreate food intake and the availability of food 24/7, that we no longer need to move. We no longer need to even go out from our house. We don't even need to do anything. Just within a tap of in your phone, you mentioned all of these convenience stores, fast foods, and now there's even worse. It's in your phone.
Delivery.
You can just order delivery. So there's no mobility, there's no extra spending when it comes to your energy. Yet our consumption is way more than the hunter and gatherers.
Correct. Pero what I've noticed about your framework is that you went back to the hunting-gathering society.
Yes.
For the benefit of those who are listening to us or watching us. When you say hunting-gathering society, amo ning prehistoric man.
Yes.
Salasang naga-istar, forests, and then you have to walk. Walking is a form of exercise. And then you have to look for food. It's either maghambal ka hunting and gathering, nagapangayam, Nagapamatay ka kasapatan to eat. Ti sapat man to, protina man to. And then gathering, nagapamupo ka. O kung nagatipon ka.
Kung ano man ang arada.
Kung
In
ano man ang
times
arada.
of failed hunting season.
And ang importante man is, wala ka man gambal, uy, alas 12 na makaon ta.
Exactly.
Because until makakita kapag kaon, that is the moment that you eat.
Yes.
Okay. So, i-factor in ko, it's about the things you eat, exercise, and fasting.
Yes.
All right. Tell me more, Doc.
Okay. So, I'm glad that you've emphasized on those because actually, I might sound like going against the standard nutrition, the standard dietary advice. But personally, I don't think I'm going against it because I'm actually not comparing what I say to their basis because their basis is mostly coming from that study that I told you about, the 7-country studies. All of the 99% of the current dietary guidelines was based on that study. And the saddest part about that study, they've tried to replicate it many times, but they failed to show the same result because there's really no correlation between fat intake and heart attack, between fat intake and diabetes, between fat intake and cholesterol levels. But the real culprit in there is actually the sugar intake, too much carbohydrates. And now it's good that the current medical practice is starting to keep up, but I think here in the Philippines, it might arrive maybe in 20 to 25 years. So if we all wait for that, then good luck. Good luck for all of those who will wait for that standard dietary guidelines to be changed. The Platong Pinoy, which is composed of 66% carbohydrates. So those items are somewhat gonna change far long, and that's why I am not touching the nutrition and dietary guidelines according to that way, but I am explaining the basis of nutrition that I believe is the proper human nutrition based on evolution. So it is an evolutionary perspective nutrition. Okay? And what
evolutionary perspective
yes,
nutrition.
Evolutionary perspective.
I like that actually because you're looking at human biology.
Yes. Actually, I explained it more in my first book. It's a book series entitled Perfect at Last. The first one is Perfect at Last Weight. It's about fasting, but its subtitle is it's the Evolutionary Perspectives Guide in Attaining an Ideal Body Weight, the fastest, most natural way. And it will talk about how we evolved as humans because from our prehistoric man phase, we became the modern day humans that we have now, the most superior intelligence for that matter across animal kingdom, the moment we discovered fire.
I remember that because the moment we discovered fire, we learned to cook meat.
Yes.
And the brain grew larger because of that.
Yes.
And then somewhere down the road, when the brain grew larger, we thought, oh no, we won't eat meat. I really don't know.
Yes, that's why. And that discovery of fire really changed everything. Because by then, we are now able to consume a lot of nutrients in just a small amount. As compared before, if, say for example, you will eat raw, like pure raw food, you will not be able to digest all those. Okay? So you will extract only minimal nutrients. And say for example, if you only eat greens, you will spend, for the amount of metabolic needs of your brain, that powerful brain, you will need to chew a whole day, just like no different from a cow. Yes, because it will take so much energy to extract. Okay. Because it will take so much energy, so much requirement from our brain, from our digestive organs to extract the same amount of energy than what we can extract, say for example, half kilo of meat as compared to what? 2 kilos of vegetables?
Oh my.
That's not comparable when it comes to nutrient-wise, nutrient density. And so we progressed. And that occurred over 200,000 of years. And we developed into that eating. Now, people will say
and then
that...
you have the vegan movement.
Yes, we have the vegan movements. And of course, we respect that because it's about animal rights, cruelty, and all that. I myself is an animal lover, and I myself cannot fathom really looking at an animal being slaughtered or butchered. Okay?
But I mean, people will eat a dead animal as long as it's not killed before them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that certain hypocrisy in there.
Yes, yes. And I understand, and I myself cannot see myself doing it. But
But
what
how
we
about
are
in cultures that you have to survive by killing an animal?
Yes, because the idea of nutrition, sorry to say, it's not just about animal rights. Okay? It's about nutrition when it comes to our proper nutrition, how we nourish our body as humans, and it is by nature. We have food chain, and part of that food chain is we are on the upper part of the food chain,
And that is nature.
And that is nature. And why are we going against nature?
There you go.
We are going against nature, but when it comes to animal rights, there is a humane way to raise animals. There is a proper way to slaughter them without pain. There is a way to do it that the animal that we will eat, for example, will still be able to live a life, like say for example on a free-range farm. And not just be constructed in in a box or in the pig pen,
I agree
for
with
example.
That. But I don't know if some people who advocate not killing animals can tell a bush tribe in Africa, don't kill a wild pig.
That's why. It's
because
about survival.
That is how they survive.
It's how they survived. And for me, I'm not saying that everybody will eat animal meats all the time, all day, every day. Because, in fact, we don't even eat every day.
And what's worse, Doc, there's even some people who say, you should not eat plants because they can hear the plants crying out in pain. I mean, though, is there something wrong? Is there something wrong with how the mind works? Is it a lack of meat?
That's going to be an opinion. Okay, that's going to be an opinion. And as much as possible, I'd like to stick with what we have as an evidence.
Sure, Doc.
And with evidence, we can say that it's just natural for us to evolve eating animals. In fact, we thrive because of eating animals. Okay.
This is a countercurrent actually, because there's this movement that's saying, let's go back to nature by eating plants. Now, what you're saying is, let's go back to nature by eating meat.
And I actually agree with them that eating plants is also going back to nature.
It's also going back to nature.
But you know what's the timeline?
Yes.
That's before the fire. That's before the discovery of fire. And that is the time that our brain was still so simple and not so complex.
So, if you want to really change your culture, you do this. You don't go to Starbucks. Balik ka bahag. Diba? You stay in a tree house or in a tree, and that's the natural way.
That's the natural way.
And before fire was discovered.
Before fire was discovered, and then you go to the mountains, and then you look for whatever food that is there, and
but
then
they can't do that.
And then you try to discover if this food is poisonous or not poisonous. And lucky for you, if what you take is not poisonous.
But Doc, I'm gonna bet that they cannot do that because, well, you know, kaiw na yung mag-sleep ko sa ground ya. And then may mga plants na, you know, anyway.
Yeah, I get you totally. But even if our evolutionary side of eating, they can also say that you go there and hunt yourself.
Hunt yourself. Oh.
But we are not hypocrites.
Pero hindi na sila magpataya kaya kaluoy sang tiger, tiko ng tiger, biarat na sa tubang mo.
That's why there's, I think the more popularly termed other than low-carb nutrition is the Paleo diet.
Yes,
have you heard about it?
Yes,
So
I did.
It's Paleolithic period. So it's basically that. So
Hunting-gathering.
Hunting-gathering. And they are very, very choosy with the kind of food. They won't eat meat that are not organically raised, not wild boars or whatever. They are like that. So for me, that is very strict. Okay, what we want is to mimic nutritionally evolutionary mimicry when it comes to nutrition. But we don't need to change our lifestyle. We don't need to change our clothes. We don't need lifestyle. I mean, where we live, how our work. even the comforts that we have now in modern day times, we don't need to compromise that. But what we need to do is the right mindset, the knowledge on what food can actually, evolutionarily speaking, can mimic those kind. And so we are actually getting the best of both worlds.
We adopt the useful.
We adapt the useful and then eliminate, because we can benefit from so many good things in the modern day times, but we can benefit even more if we do not take the modern day inventions that made us worse, which is sugar, processed foods, seed oils. And only if we eliminate that, then we are also giving ourselves the chance to eliminate the modern day diseases that we have now. Hypertension, diabetes, obesity, heart attack, stroke, the need for dialysis, kidney problems, liver failure, all those. Because those illnesses are non-existent in the prehistoric times. Before, we might have a shorter lifespan, but it's because of trauma, accident, death from fights, from whatever hunting activities, from infection, from childbirth. But right now we have a very good birthing facilities. We discovered vaccines. We have antibiotics. We have insurance even. We have helmet. We have everything that we need to protect us from the causes of death that caused the death of our ancestors. But what we have now is actually the illnesses that were not present before, but are brought about by the modern day foods that we have now. So if we only eliminate all of that, we can maximize into becoming the muscular hunter-gatherers that we are.
Tarzan.
Without, yes, like Tarzan, but of course more fashionable. with still greater chances of really not just living. What we promote is not just being alive right now, free of illness, but it's also longevity. So longevity is not just about living long.
It's the quality of life.
It's the quality of life. It's living at old age with the vigor, vitality, and strength of youth. And do we still have that? Even if we see, I saw your interview before with possibly the oldest person living in the world. What's the life in there? Just being bedridden, okay? Alive, yes, but quality.
It was sad looking at it.
It was very, very sad. It was very, very sad. I think I wasn't able to finish it completely, but I'm so happy because yes, we have this group when we established the Low Carb Con. And one of those is a chef who is also an engineer. And he's actually the one who told me that we are currently mapping like the blue zones in the Philippines. Blue zone is the identified areas in the world wherein the highest number of centenarians live. The ones with 100 years old and above. And in the Philippines actually, Negros Occidental is somewhat having those highest number. Of centenarians.
I have to recap, Doc, our conversation. One, you said eating natural fat is not bad. Number two, sugar is possibly the main culprit in a lot of diseases, modern day diseases. And number three, we have to avoid carbohydrates, or grains. Am I correct?
Yes. So
okay, check naman ko.
These are actually all connected. I think as much as you want to understand, as much as you want to believe what I say, but it wouldn't be that easy to accept without any basis. Okay? So let's go a little in biochemistry. I want to simplify it as much as possible.
Doc, I have to tell you that this is actually an intro video to Dr. Rojo, and from now on, she will be a regular here on DNX. Talk to you about health, nutrition. It's beyond umbrellas and avocados and grains. And so, expect Dr. Rojo, Dr. Grace to be with us starting, well, it started yesterday actually, but damo pa ka makitaan sa iya. Doc, welcome to DNX.
Thank you so much. Your warm welcome really made this studio instantly a second home.
On that note, thank you so much.
So going back, a little biochemistry. We all thought that the fats that we eat become the fats in our system. But actually, that's not true. The fats that we eat, okay, if only it's not paired with carbohydrates, specifically other foods that spikes insulin, okay? We will go about that, don't worry. The fats that you eat will naturally become energy. Our body is designed to burn fats as energy. However, that burning of fats into energy will never happen if you have other easier sources of energy, and that is glucose. Okay? So for as long as you have elevated glucose in your system, the fats will be stored because fats is somewhat precious. It is a storage form of energy. Okay? So that is why, for example, we can always go back to evolution. During harvest season of the fruit-bearing trees, that's the only time that we are used to consuming these sweets. And during that time, your body will prioritize that, actually. So while it is still here, because fruit is very good, we don't need to work hard for it. We don't need to hunt. We don't need to go to places. We can just sit here under this tree until all the fruits will be consumed. So we eat that. And during that time, your body will shift into glucose metabolism.
That is interesting because also during the harvest season, you actually work. You have activity.
But you are looking at agricultural revolution.
So this is before?
Before agricultural
okay,
revolution. Okay, so with harvest, not natural harvest season in fruit-bearing season, okay, you don't need to work. You're just gonna sit there and eat and sit and eat and sit until it's no longer bearing fruits. And what does that do to your body? Your body will shift into glucose metabolism, wherein all of your cells in your body, almost all of your cells, will only use up glucose as an energy. Okay? And how about the fructose? Fructose actually, the sugar in fruits, the natural sugar in fruits, is made of glucose and fructose. Okay? So the fructose, actually, it doesn't easily transform into energy, but it is being converted into triglycerides. Triglycerides is a fat, right? And that is what we've missed. Our liver can create its own fats. And it can create its own fats from non-fat sources. Meaning, if it's coming from proteins or fructose or glucose, your bread, your rice, your oatmeal can actually convert it into triglycerides, especially if you still have other energy sources left. So that triglycerides can build up within your liver cells, okay? And some, it will go out in your system. That's why you can see people having higher triglycerides. Those triglycerides can be converted into embedded in your fats. That's why people eventually can become fat. But not everyone, about 50% will not grow fat. But the worst part in there, where does their fat go? If they don't get fat, actually it can be in the most dangerous places. It can be just stocked in their arteries, in their veins. It can pile up in their liver, leading to fatty liver. It can even go into your gallbladder, causing polyps, causing cholesterol sludge. It can go into your viscera, meaning the coverings of your organs. When you open your organs, I am a surgeon by profession. When we open up patients, you can see that their intestines, their liver, all of that, you can no longer see because it's all visceral fats. And that is common among Asians especially. We have this condition, what we call as TOFI. Thin outside, fat inside.
Oh.
Extremities, very lean. BMI, normal. But if you look at their visceral fat, it's very high. Because by nature, we do not have any use for fats in our periphery, in our body. Because our climate here doesn't need that thermal effect of fats. That's why our genetics, as compared to Western countries, we are not bound to be obese class 2 or morbidly obese, just overweight maybe. And those are just on the modern day times. So that is where the value of looking at sugar and carbohydrates, that when eaten too much, and when I say too much, more than one season a year, okay, can do to our body. The fats that we eat can be an add-on. It can have that effect of elevation in blood sugar. So that's why I'm not saying that you can eat all the fats that you need, that you want. Of course not. Because fat intake is also not on unlimited basis. In fact, no food should be consumed on unlimited basis. Okay? So when you eat fats, it becomes the worst fats only if and only if you eat it together with carbohydrates. How do we translate that to everyday scenario?
Kung baboy, wala rice.
Pwede ka lechon, basta wala kanon. Pwede magkansi, kansi lang. Wala na soft drinks and all of the other carbs.
Pero kung magmang inasal ka, may only rice.
Yes, so it's up to you. Will you just accommodate because you can feel like you can save?
Yeah.
You can save because of that only rice, or you might actually be spending more because after that one, if you do it on a regular basis, sooner or later, diabetes and many more can come in.
All right. Doctor, thank you.